So I'm probably thinking I'm gonna get a little hate for making a video about Prius and why I actually don't recommend it, because there are folks out there that say, hey Tommy, this car is going to save the planet, but this video is about saving your wallet. Okay, so I got my first car about a year and a half ago. My first car was actually a Toyota Prius 2014, and for the time being I thought this car was amazing. I barely spent any money on gas, but as this whole story developed, I was like, hey, this is not exactly what I thought it was actually going to be. The car was pretty cool, okay? When I bought it, it was less than 100,000 miles, and I was actually comparing it to a 2019 Toyota Corolla with more than 100,000 miles. That one was actually for $13,000, while my Prius was only about $9,000. And I was like, yo, I might as well go with the Prius because upfront is going to cost me less, and to own it is actually going to cost me a lot less money in gas. But boy, was I actually wrong, all right? I couldn't be more wrong. And I hate having to learn from my own mistakes, but I also hate when somebody gives me advice, great advice, and I don't take it. Because people warned me about getting a Prius, and I was like, hey, you know, Toyota makes them, they're making them for a long time, they're very reliable. Some of them out there actually have a bunch of miles, so everything should be just fine. But in this video, I'm going to break down exactly why this is probably the worst decision I ever made in my entire life. By the way, I'm selling the car. If you want it, you live in Puerto Rico, you want a Toyota Prius 2014, you let me know. Hit me up, okay? But I'm selling the car. And as always, guys, like this video on top. Also, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified. But I guess if you watch this video, you probably will not want to buy that car anyways, okay? So, because I'm going to be honest, okay? So, the very first thing, guys, is upfront costs versus owning costs. They're two very different things, and people use both to justify their purchase all the time. So, my car, right up front, it was $9,000. The other one was $13,000, had more miles, and I said, yo, up front, I'm saving $4,000, and I'm gonna save so much more money on gas. And people use this logic all the time to say, hey, up front, a Tesla is gonna cost me 50,000 grand or $50,000, but well, 50 grand overall, right? So you say it, all right? 50 grand overall today, but every year I'm gonna spend around like $600 on electricity versus like almost $2,000 on gas a year. So I'm saving like half more money on gas or whatever, okay? And when you actually take this into account and you say, well, over 10 years, I get to save like $12,000 on gas. That's actually a big difference. It actually makes a difference until you realize that that logic is so flawed. And when you think about it logically, you're so stupid for doing that, okay? And I'm saying that like that because it's important you understand, okay? So whenever you buy a vehicle, you gotta think about a few things, okay? Got to think about, for example, reliability, how long it's been around. On top of that, exactly how long is actually going to cost to actually maintain it. You know, when I bought, for example, my Prius, I was like, yo, it's not going to cost me that much money to maintain this thing, until I realized that every single part in this car, because it is, for example, hybrid, is going to cost me more money to actually fix. When the battery went out, because the people actually sold it to me, they weren't driving that much, so I needed a new battery. The battery was more expensive because it needed to have, for example, a special valve to actually like throw out the acid or whatever. When, for example, the brake pump went bad, it was around $2,000 because, hey, it's a brake pump for a hybrid car that has regenerative braking, and that cost a lot of money. Thank God it was actually covered under warranty. Shout out to Toyota. But also, when anything went bad with this car and I needed to find a mechanic, I just couldn't go to a regular mechanic. I needed to go, for example, to a special mechanic, because not every single mechanic is actually going to touch that car. And by the way, just to like backslide a little bit here, when you think about buying a 50K Tesla, you don't need to do that. Like, there is no mathematical way that actually makes sense, okay? Like, if you want one, you can afford one, great, but mathematically, it doesn't make sense. And here's why, okay? Because I actually have some math that I actually did here. Let me pull up my stick with my phone here, right? And I saw that basically, if you actually spend 50K on a Tesla, right? And instead of actually doing that, you actually bought, for example, a $20,000 car, and you actually went ahead and you invested $30,000 into the stock market over 10 years or so, you would actually end up with around $81,643, okay? So you either spend 50K on a car to save 12K on gas, or you buy a $20,000 car and you invest the difference, and now you have $81,000. So that's what I'm saying, okay? Like, and also, virtually when it comes to maintenance is a lot cheaper. When it comes to reliability, they're usually a lot more reliable. They've been around for a lot longer and doing, for example, combustion engines for a lot longer. So it just makes a big difference. I just gotta be honest, and that's why I'm breaking things down like that, all right? So let me also break down another part here, okay? Because I thought that, hey, I'm only spending $30, $50 on gas every single month or so, like not a lot. And I thought that I'm saving so much money on gas, it makes sense. But in reality, when I looked at, for example, like MPG or miles per gallon, I realized that Prius hybrids cars, they're very good like if you're driving in the city, but if you're actually on a highway, you're not really going to make a massive difference as far as, for example, like saving money on gas, because on a highway, you're not braking a lot, so you're not taking advantage of that, for example, regenerating braking system, okay? So that's also a big thing, all right? So whenever you consider actually buying one of these cars, consider that basically it's virtually going to be, for example, it's not a cost-effective purchase for the buyer. It's just a cost-effective purchase for the planet, because it saves the planet, but it doesn't save your wallet. And by the way, it also depends, okay? Because a lot of factors go into, for example, the environment, which I'm not an expert on, so I won't talk about it, but I do know about money. So mathematically, this is just not a good purchase to actually make. So what do I wish I actually did instead of buying that Prius in the first place? Well, what I should have done was say, hey, Tommy, I'm gonna spend an extra $4,000 on this Toyota Corolla, but I'm gonna save so much more money whenever I have to fix anything, because it's just a normal car and there are a bunch of third-party parts and any mechanic can basically fix it. And it also has a lot more reliability because they've been around for so much longer. And by the way, there is one fault that has not happened on that Prius sale, which is basically when that main battery goes out, it is going to be a nightmare for whoever buys that car. Now, I promise you one thing, guys, okay? I'm not going to sell anybody a lemon because I wouldn't want to be sold a lemon. So I actually had a friend not too long ago. He actually offered to buy my car. And I was like, you know, if you want to buy this car, you can buy it. I got a problem with it. But I got to break down exactly what you can expect with this car. It was a young guy. And I was like, yo, bro, it's going to be expensive to actually maintain. When things break down, they're going to be very expensive to actually fix. So I don't recommend it. And if you don't have, for example, some money in your pocket, month per month, you're going to save so much money. But that money you save is going to go, for example, whenever you have some expenses. And I broke that down to him and he understood, Tommy, this is just not a good deal for me. And I said, perfectly makes sense for me, bro. You don't got to buy it at all, because I really wanted to be honest. So overall, I should have just bought, for example, a Toyota Corolla 2019, maybe a little bit more than 100,000 miles, but those cars go like for 300,000 miles. Like they're run forever. And I basically use my car for like 12,000 miles per year. So I'm not really using it that much. So I could get, for example, 10 years, 15 years from that car, no problem. Just change, for example, the oil and the filter. That's basically it. So I could have saved so much more money and a lot of headache. So overall, I don't recommend Priuses, and I also don't recommend electric cars currently. I'm sorry, not a popular opinion from a young guy, but it does just doesn't make sense financially. And by the way, you're probably wondering, Tommy, I know you're talking about a Prius and a Corolla, but why do you have here in the back a 2022 Cayenne Porsche for $77,000? Well, guys, this is not going to be my next car, all right? I just have it here because I love this car. It's like such a cool car. It's fast, it's stylish, but I'm not going to buy this car either. So, and there's one more tip, okay? Because you can actually get away with buying a luxury vehicle for a lot less than it's actually worth. And I have videos on how to buy luxury vehicles for cheap, like a lot cheaper than $10,000. So if you want to watch those videos, I have those videos and I'm going to link them down below potentially. So check the comments. If they're there, they should be there. Or just look up, for example, buying luxury vehicles, TommyBryson, and you should also find that. So overall, my advice is buy a normal gas-powered car. Don't buy new, buy used. Save a lot of money. Invest the difference. Have that money make you more money. And when that money makes you enough money, you could use that money to buy you the car you actually want, okay? Eventually, I'll have my money buy me this car. And not new either, like a used like 2019 version or 5-year-old version, depending on when you're watching this video. And that's basically it, okay? So thanks for watching, guys. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell to get notified. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, well, comment down below exactly what is your dream car. All right, and don't say Tesla. All right, you could buy a Tesla. Okay, you could buy a Tesla or an electric car. But just be aware that they could be like money pits in the sense of, like, for example, like future tense, okay? And there are money pits in the sense that how much more money you have to pay up front and you're giving up, for example, on investing. So keep that in mind. You know, my next car is probably gonna be most likely a RAV4 2019 or so. Or there are other options. I'm not gonna just, like, you know, it's probably gonna be a Toyota, Honda, or Mazda. I'll say that. I'll say that much. Okay, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll make a video about it too. Okay, so I'll say that much. Thanks for watching. As always, like, subscribe, hit the bell so you're notified, and as always, long-term team officially out.